some soccer!
And now the shipping forecast issued by the Met Office on behalf of the Maritime and Coast Guard Agency at 1130. Go! At 1130.
I don't think I've ever wanted to be in a stand more than my life around there. They're going crazy. Hey, they got penalty here. There'll be fish flying about that. There's no tomorrow.
What a magnificent piece of football! A really, really good goal. You can't make it straight from that. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the DN35 podcast. We're good, so we thought we'd do a preview, and we will keep doing them for as long as they last. Or, you know, we play Harrogate, and there's got no fans, so we can't preview it with anyone. We're joined by Youngie and Steve, but most importantly, Bruce is here as well. Steve, last time was on the podcast, was here the infamous time when Bruce decided to throw himself in a bush and then took Steve to the toilet with him. Have you got anything to say to Steve before we start, Bruce?
Well, certainly hello, and you seem to be more upright than you were last time in many ways.
Is that our team or is that me?
Both. You choose, mate. But no, hello and good evening.
Well, it is a nice time to be a Town fan. We are still enjoying last week. And this is, as the club are rightfully putting it, a 6-pointer. Fourth v fifth. I feel like the Paul Rudd meme. Who would have thunk it? Not me. But the Mariners and Crewe are going at it, and there is always the Artel factor and the Omar Bogle factor. So, at least 1-1 for the very beginning. Steve, how are things down in Crewe? And are we going to see the most wanted return striker the world has ever seen, who has not really been able to find the same form that he had here, that he has in about another 35 clubs?
We'll start from the beginning. Pretty good, actually, down in South Cheshire. We're pretty good. We're obviously been around and about it after a rather shaky start to the season where we didn't win for the first 2 or 3 games, got absolutely tonked by Chesterfield at home, 5-0. And then we've not looked back ever since, really. So we've been doing all right, running a fairly tight ship at the back. We're one of the best defensive records in the division at the moment. And sadly, we haven't quite topped the scoring charts, but I guess that's why we're not right at the top, isn't it? So pretty good. Everybody seems to be fairly happy, although we've had a recent spate of 1-1 draws, but they have been at a couple of, one of them was at Port Vale, who are obviously top, and amongst others, it's been, and Walsall as well. So it's been we've had a couple of decent away results, really, if you count those two. And Mr. Bogle, he's doing all right, actually. He's doing all right. He's lost some timber since he first arrived, and when he was at Newport, he has lost some timber, and he's looking fairly svelte. But he spent the first month of the season injured, so we hardly saw him, so we haven't seen him. But he's been pretty good, and he adds us another dimension. At least the ball doesn't come straight back, does it? When you knock it up to Bogle, he's got, he might have his limitations, but part of his, abilities are holding the ball up, aren't they?
You wouldn't have a Town fan say he's got limitations. Youngie, what limitations did he have apart from his rap music?
Yeah, his rap music and going on Instagram Live during the middle of the season to slag off his own manager. They're the only.
That's a good one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, it's all right. He was pretty impressive with us. We have a third kit, and it had been kept secret. Only he posts all over, puts his new Instagram picture, is him wearing this bloody third strip that's got a charity sponsor on the front, like Villa did a few years. It's a local hospice that Mournflake have, nicely let them have the sponsor on the third kit. And he apparently got an absolute roasting for it, because they were saying, people won't be buying the bloody away shirt now, will they? It was the same day that the away shirt was released as well, and it's just like, oh my god! So he's obviously got form, has he, with his Instagram?
Yeah, so basically there was a little period of the time in our final conference year that he got dropped. I think him and the manager maybe had a little bit of a falling out. So rather than try and build the bridge and mend the fence, he just went on Instagram and started agreeing with people's comments, slagging off the manager.
I can't even remember that.
Yeah, it was about he got. I think he got dropped. It was when he got dropped for Poobin for a little bit, and
well, who can blame him? Who can blame her?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But look, he did come back and he scored some very important goals towards the end of the season to get us promoted. So I can't, they obviously there was obviously no hard feelings there, but yes, he's got
quietly
quite socials.
I'm quietly quite the fan of him, to be honest. I think, as I said, he works really hard for the team, and which is the standard response, isn't it? But he does. And I think he does add a dimension, and he's a better player than you initially think as well. He's got a lot more ability. Certainly the goal that he took at Walsall away was an absolutely fantastic little first touch, and a slotted it into the bottom corner off the far post. And he's been good. He's been good for us so far. You can tell our record when he got in the team and before he came into the team, put it that way, because he allows us to play a slightly different way, in that we can get our wide players beyond him, which if he's not on the pitch, then we don't win. Our guys are mostly 5'6". They're not going to win many headers in League Two, are they? So we've got that big lump up front, and he does a real job holding the ball up for us. But I've been fairly impressed with what I've seen so far, and certainly better than maybe the player that we saw at Newport last year, and however long he was there. But as you said, he's had about 19 clubs, hasn't he? So
I think it is he has had a lot of clubs, but I think the one thing I will defend him on is the fact that for a lot of them clubs, he never got a real run of starts. He was kind of a bit part player at a lot of them places, never got a kind of run in the team. And I always got the feeling with Bogle that if he's made to feel like the man, you'll get something out of him.
Yeah.
The prime example of that for us was when we came back to the league. So at that point, Podjamand had gone, who was a striker who scored 30 goals a season the season before. But in the 6 months that Bogle was here before he got his big move, he was unplayable. I think he scored 20 goals before January. He was absolutely superb because he was the main man, because he was the man leading the line. The team was centered essentially around him, and he thrived in that. I think probably the same at Solihull, where he scored all his goals. So I think if he's made to feel wanted, I think you'll get something out of Bogle. But the feeling I get especially when he's gone to bigger clubs, that he's not really happy with being a substitute on a regular basis.
Yeah. I think it's actually that's kind of what we're seeing. We're seeing him. He's strutting about the place, which is very him, isn't it? If he feels like, because obviously he's a big, imposing lad, isn't he? But I think that it is part of Lee Bell's skills set, if you like, or what he's excelled at, is the man management. It's 2 years last week that Lee Bell got the job, and it's quite clear that every one of the players will run through a brick wall for him. Now we can name certainly the last manager. We didn't get that impression, and certainly towards the end of Mr. Artell's reign, there was definitely things had changed, let's say, and there was some I think differences of opinion and egos at play, I think, on all angles. But no, Lee Bell seems to have got him to that place where you said about him feeling like he is very much the focus and the centre of attention and the main man. And it will be interesting to see what you guys think, because he is looking in, as I said initially, he looks like he's lost a couple of stone in weight, and he looks a lot more mobile than I remember him being. Because certainly in Newport, he looked like, let's say, he was carrying a bit of timber. Yeah.
Is he not? Is he got a chance to play though, Steve? Because I've seen on your forums that he might be injured, couldn't make the Bradford game, that sort of stuff. Is he carrying a niggle or a knock?
I think he'll play. I think he played the Bradford game. It was the game before he didn't. He did look a bit like he'd not done a lot of training for the Bradford game, but I think he'll play. I do think he'll play, and that's hoping from a Crewe point of view. It's that ex-player thing, isn't it? Pops up and scores, but it always happens to us. Bloody hell, Callum Ainley might appear and at the far post at this rate.
That's what I like, Steve. What I like, I'm just looking at the form table. I like the fact that you haven't lost in 10 games. I love that.
It's there, and it's coming, isn't it? It's coming.
I would much rather play you than play somebody that had not won in 8 games.
Yeah.
As a lower league.
Oh, Bruce, this is a new era. What's going on? We're the best team that's in sliced bread.
You guys are on a little bit of a run, aren't you? Though
I'm still happy. Yeah, but this is how the league is this season. You're unbeaten in 10 games. We've lost 4 of the last 10, and you've only picked up 2 points more than we have.
Yeah.
But for all your efforts, that sums up both teams' season. You've drawn 7 games and we've drawn 1. We either win or we lose.
Yeah. Well, we're a very different side to what we traditionally have been, which has been the gung-ho, will try and outscore you, or rather, we're incapable of defending. Has been the thing. It's with all the academy products, it seemed to have been the thing that they forgot to teach them. But we're a very different animal these days. We'll almost certainly play a back 5, well, a 3/5 on Saturday, because that's what we've done pretty much since the Chesterfield game, when it all went wrong with a 4. And although we do change in the game, depending on the opposition, we may change to a 4 and stick another one in midfield. But we'll probably go with a 5. And as I said, we've looked on the most part very, very solid at the back, and surprisingly so. Mickey Demetrio is just, the guy can walk on water as far as most Crewe fans are concerned, because he has been peerless. He has been absolutely the signing of all time. And I'm almost 50, and I can't remember anybody having quite the influence and the effect upon, not only on the pitch but the dressing room as well. That he has been an absolute revelation, and we've got decent players around him, but he is very much the focal point of it. And as I said, we're playing a 5, and we'll have probably Zach Williams, and it will be interesting to see which way they go with the other centre back, because we've our own. Well, he's not one of our own, but he is a contracted player, Connolly, who signed in the summer from Bristol Rovers. He's been a little bit in and out, and we've got a lad on loan from Bristol City, actually, Knight LaBelle, who has been absolutely superb and only lost his place because he got a call up to bloody Canada International, played 14 minutes or something, and he hasn't been able to get back in since. So it will be interesting. I guess that he will go back in, Knight LaBelle, I think, because Connolly was a bit wobbly last week. But yeah, we'll see.
Is this what you thought the season was? Is this what you thought the season was going to be, Steve? Or did you think it was going to be a mid-table one with a bit of evolution with Bell sort of trying to find his feet?
Yeah, I guess so. It's easy in hindsight to say, yes, this is what we expected. I think we absolutely crawled into the end of the season. We were obviously January, February, we were in and about Stockport and Wrexham, and we just had a hideous set of injuries where we at one stage we had eight fit outfield players, or 8 fit players, and 2 of those were goalkeepers. And so we literally crawled to the end of the season, and thankfully had got enough in the bag to get us into the playoffs. But we got, bar the great night at Doncaster turning them over from a 2-0 deficit, we didn't turn up at Wembley. And the season, I think we all thought we'd go into it, right, fresh start, we'll be back at it. But the season started as the last one ended, really. And as I said, it almost took a pasting by Chesterfield, and we were terrible that day. They were good, but we were terrible. And for them to press the reset button, change the formation, and to be honest, we've not really looked back ever since. So, yeah, in terms of where we are, I'd have said top 10 certainly, but we're probably a little bit better than I expected. But I would have said 6th or 7th by the end of the season would be.
Does it feel like do you feel like it's running out of steam a little bit? And, the run of form has been okay, but I'll be honest, back in 2009, 2010, we got relegated on the sort of run of draws that you guys are going on.
We're drawing too many games at the moment. And
what's the problem? What's changed since the start of the season?
Scoring goals is our problem. We often set up almost not to lose. And we have an issue, I think, in the transition, in that we've got a couple of little munchkins in midfield who sometimes get out fought, and they young lads. Well, one of them's young, one of them's 19, but the other one's 2021. But we do sometimes get out fought in midfield, and so whoever's up top will become isolated. And that's an issue that we've had actually so far this season, because if you look at the numbers, we're I think 8th bottom highest scorer, and yet we are where we are. We need to score more goals, and we even teams we've beaten, we pushed aside, we've not pasted them. It's 2-0 is lofty heights for us this season, but it's a good question. I don't think we've run out of steam. I think we're ready to go again. I think we've had a couple of key injuries and people missing for whatever reason, and I think we're probably ready to go again. And we've had a month where we've played Walsall away, Port Vale away. Well, I was going to say Carlisle there, but they're improving. They looked a decent side, and of course Bradford in the monsoon and the winds last Saturday. That was a mad game, but mainly because of the weather. But it will be interesting to see. I think we're ready to go again, and we've still got 2 or 3 of them out injured, which are fairly key to it. Jack Powell's just coming back, who's our key midfielder. He's had a cruciate injury and been out for the best part of 12 months. So he's had a couple of half hours here and there, but not much more. So it'll be interesting. He may appear on Saturday, I think. Whether he starts or not, I don't know, but I suspect he'll get half a game, I would have said. And he's very, very key to how we play.
Just going back a second, I was going to ask about the playoffs, actually, because you obviously you mentioned it yourself. And I remember when we played you at Gresty, I think it was April, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, it was that shocking run of form we were on, wasn't it?
It was. Yeah, and that's
hammered every home game, 3-0 every week.
And it was really strange that you kind of made it into the playoffs after a pretty bad run of form.
Relegation
and then
form, really.
Yeah, and then lost the first leg, obviously, at home. Did you honestly? Obviously, you got through the Donny game and away, fair play to you. But did the fan base think that playing Crawley at Wembley was going to be a bit of a hide into nothing, or was you confident going into it? Because
we were confident, to be honest, because we thought, right, that crap runs over now. We've been to Donny, and that was one of the greatest nights ever, turning a full Doncaster over at and 2-0, and then winning the the penalties, and if you're going to win on penalties is the best. Is fantastic, isn't it? It's horrible to lose, but won on penalties, and we were very much on the up because we thought, right, after that performance, then the shoots of recovery back are there, aren't they? But we had, as you alluded, an absolute shocking, basic relegation run of form for 2 or 3 months, where you guys were in the middle of it. You came to our place and run riot, didn't you? But you were in the midst of, I think it was 5 or 6 games where we got a similar results, and it was as you said, amazing. We did actually qualify for the playoffs, but we went hopeful and all of that. But Crawley did a job on us tactically and in terms of every aspect. Really, in hindsight, you realise that I think there was 2 players who, had it not have been a playoff final, wouldn't have played at all, and you could tell in the midfield. Connor Thomas in the midfield, who's our kind of holding midfielder. Apparently, he was nowhere near fit and looked it, if you know what I mean. And they did a job on us, but such is life, and it's one of those, isn't it? But we go again, and I would argue that our squad's stronger than it was last year, and it's better balanced anyway. But we've had a few injuries already this season, and I guess every squad does, doesn't it? And it's the nature of, unless you're a Wrexham or a Stockport with players coming out of your ears, you're going to have those issues, aren't you?
How can we get at you, Steve? How can we, if you're employed by Grimsby tomorrow, David Artell says, right, I need someone from Crewe here because I can't get Charlie Kirk. How are you?
Nothing, I think.
How would you
how
tell
would
him
you get
to
at us? That is a good question, isn't it? It's the I would say the midfield. You can get at our midfield currently. I think if you're going to win the game, you'll need to win the midfield battle, which, depending on who's in there, may or may not be that difficult. Unfortunately, we're missing Shiloh Tracy, who managed to get himself bloody booked on last week, idiot. So he's missing the game, which will mean that we'll have to set up a bit differently. How to get at us? I would say on the ground rather than in the air. We've been very strong in the air this season, at the back, I mean. And
you did say they're all 5'6", though. So
yeah.
Do we need to get
No, the back lads certainly aren't. No,
okay.
The central defenders. And I would, being honest, I would say if you can get inside our wing back, full backs, balls between the wing backs and the outside centre half, that's where you're going to have a bit of joy, because both sides they kind of quite like to attack and get a nosebleed if they come back too much. But no, it's an interesting. I've never thought about it at that angle. How would you get at us? Yeah.
I've never felt so confident going into a game against a top side. It just you sound like the perfect opponents for us, and it'll probably come back to bite us. But we'll probably have Jordan Davis from Wrexham on the bench on Saturday because he can't get into our midfield at the minute. And you're saying your midfield's the weakest part of the team. I've just looked at the stats.
It's where it depends on who's playing. If Powell and Thomas suddenly decide they're fit, then I would say you've got as good as anything in this division. But one of them may play, the other probably almost certainly won't. So,
you said you're nearly 50. Did you used to watch He-Man?
Sorry?
When you said you're nearly 50, did you used to watch He-Man?
Castle Grayskull and all of that, yes.
Yeah, well, we've got Curtis Thompson in midfield, and he's like man at arms.
All right. Well, they'll be running round. They'll be running round him, and
No, he'll just be barging. He'll be knocking your lads into the stands with his shoulders.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see.
That's one for the kids.
Yeah, definitely.
Skibbity
for the
Riz
kids,
boys.
that He-Man, Man at Arms. Oh my God. I've lost my thought now. No, it'll be interesting to see because you guys are fairly open, aren't you? You're a bit Corinthian spirit, aren't you? And
we can be, but you don't score.
Yeah.
That makes me feel good. And I've just looked at the stats. Actually, we've been crap for about 25 years, and we've won the last. This is good for you in the opposite of what I said earlier.
Yeah,
the last 5 games against Crewe, we've scored 15 goals, conceded 1, and we've won all 5 of them.
Our record
and we've been
at your place is absolutely shocking. And then you introduce the Artel factor as well, because he'll be well up for it, won't he? Again, because
that might cancel out the Bogle thing, because that would worry me.
It's there, isn't it?
But like you say, we might just stick Ainley up front just for the same reason.
Cal, good old Cal. It's always next year, Cal. So next year's his year, mate.
Yeah. If I tell you what, if Callum Ainley scores, I'll give you the money myself.
Well,
to be honest with you, I'll deliver it to Crewe.
Yeah, he's a this academy. We talk at the Alex about academy bias, and 1 or 2 of them getting longer than they would if they were, say, bought in from somewhere else. And he is the absolute dictionary definition of how many chances does the lad need. I do feel very sorry for him because he was of that sort of year group. There was him, Charlie Kirk, Pickering, who's at Blackburn now, Perry NG at Cardiff, Ryan Wintle. He is at Cardiff, but he's on loan at Millwall now, and there's probably a couple of others in there as well. He was the first one to get breakthrough into the first team, and so he was there, and he'd got great feet and everything, but never that sort of end product and stuff. And there's a player in there somewhere, but all of his mates came into the team, rave reviews, went off, sold off for however much, and earning 10 times what they all were at Crewe or whatever. And poor old Callum's still there and can't get in the team, and the rest is history. And he's ended up following his old boss Artel to Grimsby. But he is a case in point for the academy bias, and has given them too long. I argue it would have been better for him to have left about 18 months before he did. If it eventually did, because I think he'd just become in a rut and stuff. And obviously he's had issues while he's been, with his health and everything, hasn't he? And don't wish that on anybody. But he's bound to pop up and do something on Saturday. Bound to.
Just while you, I feel I owe you an apology as well.
Another one.
Going back to my youth. I used to play quite a lot of Championship Manager.
Right.
And I used to come in and mug Crewe when I started a new game as Grimsby. I used to mug you for Danny Murphy and Neil Lennon.
Well,
and
yeah.
You would usually get relegated, and Grimsby would start going places, because we were both in the Championship at the time.
Yeah.
And,
that was a decent
so I apologise, because you would give them away for peanuts as well. It was a great tactic to start the game.
Yeah. I tell you what, that was half decent midfield, wasn't it? At whatever level you were playing at.
Because he was attacking midfielder, left, right, and centre. So Kenny Lunt was always a good player to get from Crewe. You could play him anywhere. Great.
Kenny's nephew will probably be on the bench at least on Saturday. Very much the same sort of player. He's about, I don't know, 5 foot nothing, but terrier, I think, is the word. He's I think going to be a proper little player if he fills out a bit, and if we can get him some longer studs or something to make him look a bit bigger. But his nephew's in and around the first team now, so apple never falls far from the tree. But halcyon days those were, I tell you.
No, you had some good players, and like I say, on Champ Manager, that Murphy and Lennon used to do the business, and they would both go on to great things. Even if you couldn't keep hold of them, you'd sell them for a fortune. So yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah, them are the days.
Would you,
How is Mr. Hotel anyway?
He's starting to win everybody over. It's taking time. I think it's taking a bit of time. Obviously, there was that run at the middle of last season where we were literally getting thumped every week, like 3 or 4, especially at home. I think we conceded something like 21 goals in 4 home games. Nobody had ever seen anything like it. But we did similar to you. We went it kind of took one more hammering. It was against Doncaster. Got beat 5-1 at home to Doncaster for him to go. We need to go back to basics. And we also went 5 at the back for the rest of the season. So that was the thing that kept us up that year. And then he's had a summer, which fair play to him and fair play to the recruitment team, probably more the recruitment team in the sense of the players we've brought in have been a genuine upgrade to what we had from last season. And a lot of them are players that fit the Artel mould of football, players that can attack with pace, and it's taken a little bit of time because we've had a few injuries, but suddenly now the squad's fully fit. It seems to be clicking, and it seems to be playing the style of football that he's always said he's wanting to play. We didn't see it for a while, but it was a year. I think it was a year last week since he took over, but now it seems to be that we're seeing that style of football a lot more, and he is starting to kind of win the majority over. He's taken time, but he's got there.
I bet it has. Because he's a complex character, is Dave, and he's from. No, I know a few people who got to know him fairly well, and through various ventures and things, and said what a great guy he is, and was very supportive of people behind the scenes and stuff. But he's very determined, and his way is the way, as it were. And I think that a combination of that and some absolutely woeful recruitment did for him at Crewe, because he'd lost 3 or 4, 5 of those players that I ran through before, Pickering and all those, very close together in 2 windows, and never replaced them. We got a load of players. I don't know where who'd done the scouting on them, and the recruitment, but it was way off. And his issue at Crewe got that he almost, because what had got him the success was so ingrained in him that he, when it wasn't going quite right, he absolutely refused to change. And absolutely, even though we hadn't got the players to be playing the system, and then he's put in centre forwards at wing back, which was, we had a spate of both sides, left or right wing back, of playing. We played Scotty Cashcat, who we had on for a year. It was Gillingham, wasn't it, that he scored a few goals for a few years back, and Mika Mandron, who was a cracking centre forward actually when he could be arsed. And he had them playing at wing backs, and we're going like, what the bloody hell's going on? And he just wouldn't abandon the system. So it will be interesting to see, because obviously he's on a bit of a roll at the moment, that if it does start to go wrong, has he learnt that to be flexible and to actually listen to other people? Because I believe that he had 1 or 2, let's say, fallings out, as it were, behind the scenes. You find these things out after the event, don't you? That it wasn't a happy camp, because people were trying to have conversations to say, look, this isn't working, mate, blah, blah, blah. And it was off, it's my way or the highway type thing.
I think like Richard says, I think that's maybe what I think he said himself last season when we went back to basics, that he'd learnt that from previous mistakes. So
yeah,
perhaps
maybe
perhaps
some
he's different now.
Some self-reflection. Yeah, as I said, I've no ill will to the guy at all. He's quite a character, and he's got a wry wit as well. He's some of his press conferences used to be quite amusing, particularly with local derbies and stuff. That some of the lines you're thinking, Christ, mate, don't say that, sort of thing. And obviously we lapped it up, but it's it will be interesting. And I haven't seen any. I'll probably try and have a look to see his pre-match press conference that it'll be out, won't it? Probably Friday, I guess. You guys will be like us, and just to see what he says. But he'll be up for it, won't he? And I'm sure that there aren't many of our lads that are left actually now from him. We've had a few changes and stuff, but I'm sure that there's a few that will be wanting to stick one on him themselves. So we'll see, won't we?
Brilliant.
I'm going to ask a question then, Bruce.
No
Steve.
question. No, it's going to be. I'm looking forward to it. It's something's got to give, hasn't it? The draw specialists against the team that don't draw.
I was going to say, you don't draw, do you guys? You had two or something, haven't you?
So
all season.
Pastiche. It's gauche.
One.
Yeah, accidentally. Well, I've got to press you on a prediction, Steve. What do you think will happen?
Anything could happen, couldn't it? I'm fearful of what Fenners has just said before about we're due one, aren't we? We've got away with a couple, but we're also due a return to form. You could look at it the other way. My prediction will be, and it's proper fence sitting, and sorry for this, guys, 1-1. We seem to have become very good at that, mainly because we're fairly tight, and if we do concede, we're unlikely to concede another. But also the fact that if we do score, we're unlikely to score 3 or 4 either. So I think 1-1's the shout from my side.
Get a couple up, and we're good to the go.
Yeah, we got.
I'd love that. A little bit of confidence creeping in and arrogance. Steve, it's a pleasure. I'm glad we've done one in which Bruce hasn't embarrassed himself and shown you around his house. Thank you so much for joining us. Enjoy the rest of the season. And
likewise, guys. And, hope you enjoy it, but not too much on Saturday. Eh?
Cheers, Steve. Thanks, mate.
See you later, Steve.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers, Steve.
Thanks, mate.
Thank you.
Well, there you go. Crewe a little bit buoyant. For a team that are fourth, Steve didn't seem massively, buoyant with optimism. Or I don't know what you guys thought of that.
No, I think it kind of sums up the league at the moment, though, that we're kind of fifth, they're fourth, with not the greatest of records. I think it's just one of them leagues this year that I think anyone can beat anyone on the day, and it's just going to be who can be the slightly more consistent. But I'm looking forward to Saturday. Isn't it great that we've got a game that is actually at this end of the table that means something? It's been way too long. I mean, we're talking probably 17 years, aren't we, since a game that of this magnitude. It's great.
I think you look at the table as well, and the more we keep winning, like there's a little bit of a gap. Even if we lose on Saturday, we'll probably only go down 1 place or 2 place. Because we've won back to back, you strengthen your position, don't you? It's an obvious thing to say, but like Youngie says, when was the last time we've looked forward to games at the right end of the league? And we'll probably get towned, won't we? We'll probably lose 2-0 or 3-0 or something. But
do you know what? As you were talking, I actually uploaded a video thinking to try and, when you were talking about, I was just going to put this bit up.
England lose 4-0.
Just put that up.
Hey, 3 cheers for Ramirez.
If he doesn't win player of the tournament, there's no justice.
We'll have Benson and Edges up front.
We
They
have
won't let
done
us
for the
down.
last 17 years.
We had
do you know,
a,
it
we had
is
a
nice to
butler
look
at one
forward to it.
point, didn't we?
We did have a butler. Have we had a Lambert?
Daz Lambert never. He played a lot of youth team and reserve. I'm not sure he made a first team appearance. I don't think so.
No
But,
Super
yeah,
Kings.
good local footballer.
I remember that midfielder Amber Leaf. Oh, well, do you know what? I'm looking forward to it. And it's nice that the club are really pumping it. And I hope the people of, fans and people in town get down there and make a day of it, because it's not often we have a big old game to cheer on. And if we, you get a win against that, then you're looking at what? Harrogate and Swindon, both of which are both winnable games, and you can, fall into 5 games in a win heading into playing the league leaders. It's not a terrible thing to be at.
Let's wait and see.
Sorry, am I getting ahead of myself? I apologize.
No, I think everyone feels it, but let's do the old one game at a time.
One game at a time. Well, we've done that game there. Crewe come up. We'll see you on Saturday, 3:00 kickoff. And we thank you all for your time. See you all later, guys.
Bye.
Open wide for some soccer!
And now the shipping forecast issued by the Met Office on behalf of the Maritime and Coast Guard Agency at 1130. Go! At 1130.
I don't think I've ever wanted to be in a stand more than my life around there. They're going crazy. Hey, they got penalty here. There'll be fish flying about there. There's no tomorrow.
What a magnificent piece of football! A really, really good goal. You can't concentrate for that.